And welcome to another episode of DIOTALK. I'm Dio. Let's talk. My guest of the evening is a motivational speaker, disability advocate, podcaster. He has the most iconic wrestling podcast in the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to the mighty David Figueroa. Welcome to the show, man. How are you?
I'm good, Dio. I'm good, Dio. It's a privilege and a pleasure to be on your show. Um, I wouldn't push the best podcast in the United States just yet. Maybe one day we'll get there.
Nah,
One day.
nah, man. I gotta hype you up because I've been watching what you've been doing for quite some time. I love it. First of all, like you have a lot of indie guys, which is I love it because they're the future. And when they're going up, guess who's going up for giving them the opportunity to talk to them? You.
Yep, yep.
So let's not think about that, man. Anyway, how are you, man?
I'm doing well, brother. It's been a long time coming, and I always like to engage with people that have the same mindset as I do. Whether it's wrestling or just motivating people in general. That's the thing about the wrestling podcast I have now is that it's not about promoting myself or bringing somebody down. Which you see a lot of wrestling podcasters out there. Not everybody,
Hmm.
but some are dirt sheets. That they
Yeah,
just
yeah,
want to spew out they want to find out the nitty gritty and the details that spark the clout.
yeah.
But I'm not about that. I'm about bringing this wrestler on and trying to get them over while on my podcast.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, man. What I love about the clips you have, I know you put clips a lot on Instagram, but what I love about it is that, like, you're trying to, like, without knowing, you're getting to their background. You like giving the opportunity to hear their story. Like, you had one clip and where, like, this guy's talking about, like, his experience as a champion and how he's trying to build the title into something and how
yeah,
people come in like if he drops it to somebody how prestige that title will become, and that's something I gotta say that I admire because I agree with you 100%. They don't talk about that as much.
yeah, they really don't, and it's something really important that we need to realize is at the end of the day, these wrestlers that we see on TV, they're human. They go through a lot. They have trials and tribulations, and they might be dealing with other things too outside of the wrestling business that we might not know about that might be interesting that might help somebody else.
Yeah,
You know.
I agree, man. What inspired you to like start the podcast? First of all, the podcast is called Beyond Beyond the Wrestling, right? Beyond
Gear.
the Rest Gear, right?
Yeah. So if you think about the name Beyond Wrestling Gear, um, first off, you think about wrestling.
Hmm.
But in my sense, I'm thinking about something beyond wrestling. I want to know who is the person beyond the wrestler, behind the mask,
Yeah,
behind the gimmick. You know, what do you do outside the business that's really entertaining? Or what other skills do you know? Or in what ways do you motivate people? And so the way that I started this podcast was a year ago. So a year ago, I was invited to River City Wrestling Con in St. Augustine, which was one of the biggest wrestling conventions in Florida. Um, my buddy Duke from Duke Loves Wrestling, shout out to him. He's a great friend of mine, a wonderful role model, and he's the reason why I kind of started this podcast. And he invited me as a reporter for the event, so I got to interviewed a lot of wrestlers there. Names such as Matt Riddle, The Godfather, Ron Simmons. You name it, I've been able to meet them. So it was a privilege. I met the Hardys, which I got
nice.
to interact with them and got to talk to them, um, and then I also got the post to do a 6-minute interview with Matt Riddle, coming fresh off the WWE back into the Indies, and he just recently won the MLW championship, which he's been wanting to win for 6 years
Yeah,
since he debuted there.
nice, nice. Yeah, that's very true. About damn time, right?
Yeah, took him all, but he got there.
Yeah, man. That's amazing. It's amazing that you're doing all this, man. And actually, you're actually like interacting with these uh with these wrestlers because most often like you see people just talking about them rather with them, you know. And like I said, back going back to the indies, which is super important because you have the opportunity to show who's next.
Exactly, and you want to showcase them. And if you notice, what I usually do is I share their stuff. I share whether it's an event, whether it's a promo, whether it's anything. I share it. I get it out there.
Nice, nice. What wrestling promotions are out there in Florida? Are you in Florida?
I am in Florida. There's ALW. There's also what's that other one? There's a few here. There's Wrestling Spotlight as well. There's what else? There's a few that I've seen before. Yeah, there's a lot of them out there, a lot of different territories, but those are the two. Those are the top main ones. Like ALW, they're supposed to have Kurt Angle and Kevin Nash as the two main guests on the show, and it's probably one of the biggest shows out there on February 21st in Cocoa, which I won't be able to go because I'll be working that day, which is on a Friday. I
Nice,
would have
nice,
loved to have
nice.
gone. Um, there was an event previously that they did also that Joe Henry was on there too on the card. He was supposed to I think he was supposed to wrestle on
Nice,
there, but Matt Riddle took his place. And yeah, that's probably one of the top promotions out there
nice, nice.
right now.
Any, are you a fan of the current wrestling right now?
Um, yes and no. I mean, the reason I say yes is because it's a lot of new talent out there, a whole new crop, a whole new dynamic, a whole new way of running things. But at the same time, I feel like it's really watered down because now we live in a generation where it's mostly kids watching it. So as an adult, you kind of wish you had that nostalgia back.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, with Netflix now as a streaming service for WWE, you see kind of like that back in the day thing, with the cussing and the blood and the references out there. I mean, they're out there. You
I
just got to
think
spot them
that's,
out.
yeah, I think that's the best move for WWE. You know, like I'm always like a WWF, right? Back in the day, you know, Stone Cold. I even named my son Austin from Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? Right. I'm a diehard, right? And they've always been ahead of the game. Like when the streaming platforms first started, they had the WWE Network. They've always been ahead of the game in quality and productions, and I'm happy to see them on a platform and we're like they can able to get recognitions because like if you like for me, I don't I don't use cable. I got subscriptions
Yeah.
and whatnot, right? So when I'm watching like when I want to watch uh, Monday Night Raw before went on Netflix, right? I couldn't. But on the streaming platform, that keeps going and going. You always have the opportunity to catch up and see what's what.
Right. And I mean, now in today's society, we're kind of shying away from cable. I mean, now everything's kind of going towards streaming. But at the same time, I feel like you're losing a crop of fans, the fans that are much, much older than you and I.
Yeah.
They're the ones that rely on cable, but then now cable is kind of switching towards streaming, and you're kind of losing that demographic. But times kind of change and times evolve, so you have to kind of adapt with the times. You
Hmm.
know.
I mean, this is why they have to follow you and start listening to your podcast because you give them the 411.
Yeah, you do, and nowadays everything is on social media, and just recently, Josh and I, who we spoke about earlier about the title, the championship, um, he mentioned, we were talking about how nowadays kayfabe doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
You
man,
know,
that kind of
everything is
sucks.
posted. Everything is posted. No matter where you go, you'll find out about something. And as much as I mean, I don't know about you, but it upsets me because you lose that element of surprise.
Hmm.
the
Yeah,
element of, wow, I wanted to see this and I finally
yeah.
found out.
Especially if you like have a certain gimmick, right? Like let's say if Undertaker was still in in the modern day, right? Slowly but surely, like he wouldn't do interviews, he wouldn't do go out, he wouldn't go do events because he had to protect his gimmick. Like nowadays, where people have cameras and always trying to up 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 one, a
Yeah.
wrestler or whoever in the pop culture industry, is difficult. It's highly difficult.
Yeah, it is, and now it's like, well, like I said, once you leave the business, you're gonna have that you're at that liberty to really show people who you really are. You don't have to hide it anymore.
Yeah.
And and it really depends on the person, because some people don't like interviews, and obviously you have to respect that. Because
Yeah.
I noticed that during River City is that some of the wrestlers that I tried to interact with, they were like, I don't do interviews, but in the back of your mind, you want to tell them you saw them like a few weeks ago, but then you think to yourself, you know what? You have to respect them, because there's some of these podcasters and some of these reporters,
Hmm.
if they have them on their show, they tend to twist what they're saying,
Yeah.
make them look bad. So then I thought to myself, he's right. He's right for saying that. For saying that they don't do interviews, because I understand that they might twist their words. You know, and
I mean,
so
and enter in the entertainment history, there's no such thing as bad publicity. And a lot of these people also like you want to interview, you got to pay.
yeah, yeah,
And that's what I argue because not a lot of they can. It's like Ricochet, talented, talented dude, right? You got a picture with him. I would not give him a mic.
yeah. I got to be honest. He's got to work on his mic skills. I mean, he's a great wrestler, very athletic.
Tremendous,
Um,
yes.
Tremendous wrestler. You just got to work on your mic skills, and obviously nobody's perfect on the mic.
Yeah.
And just get by with the basics. Show some emotion. That's one
Hmm.
of the things you got to work on, is showing some emotion, because I've seen some of these clips about him, that are circling online, and he seems like to not show that much emotion. And
Yeah,
obviously, showing
he
emotion's
doesn't
not
know how to
bad.
sell.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly.
I wish they would have brought Prince Puma,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then but also it's like you gotta see like a lot of generations. The new generation does a lot of spot. That's what I don't like to. First of all, I've never watched AEW. I've never watched AEW. Right? Even on commercial when it pops up, I change it because I don't like it. Second of all, it's like there's no story. Everything is
Right. Right. That
big
is.
spots, right? Which is if you're in an indie show, I get it, it's an indie show. You're trying to every show counts because that's who brings back, right? You want to bring them back, But on TV, I feel like it doesn't really work because it's too much. Tell me a story. Like even luchadors or high flyers will tell you a story in their movement.
You know what really impressed me? When Penta debuted a few weeks ago, and he cut that promo. People didn't notice this. People did not notice this, but I'm sure you did.
Mhm.
Sure, he wasn't the best on the mic. Sure, he wasn't the best in English. But you could tell in his eyes and his emotion what he was trying to convey. And I'm like, this guy has it. He's got it all. I mean, I hope he makes it far. I hope he wins the world title.
I think so. I think so. I mean, first of all, his matches tell a story in itself. It sells like that match with Chad Gable, right? Man?
Yeah.
Chad Gable, right? Even his amazing finisher. Like it takes two to dance, all right? And whether you have heat or whether you're a baby face or a heel, you have to do your part, right? And Chad Gable did his part, but also like the passion you see that Pentagon Jr. has is he worked his ass to get there. He's not gonna lose it, you know. And a lot of these people, like when I see these clips on AEW, it's like they don't know that. They don't know how to work the business. They've individuals who overcame the indies, who are big stars, but don't know how to prevail. There's a lot of things missing. And yeah, I wish. Listen, was it 4 years ago that AEW came out? 4 or 5?
Yeah, we're going to six now because they started in 2019.
Bro, look at that. Right? I wish I had a tweet, right? And I knew this because everything in history repeats itself. Everything in history repeats itself. Whether it's sports, whether it's wrestling, whether it's the government, everything repeats itself. And they had this WCW NWA NWO vibe. And look at that now. Very struggling, talent are complaining. It only takes one. I said it. It only takes one to leave the company because they're happy. And from there it, stumbles upon.
I mean, and and part of the reason, and I'm seeing this often, you don't have a clear booker. Like if you had an actual booker, things would go smoothly. But you as an owner decide to take over everything creative, um, what the superstars do, the spots, storyline, none of it none of it really makes sense. And then you have to deal with the consequences of people wanting to leave, and this is just recent, and also wanting to hang on to talent. For example, Pentagon was able to leave the WWE. He was able to go debut and do as he really chooses. Now you have Phoenix back here, who just recently got hurt. And the thing that really doesn't make sense to me is how in the world do you add time to a wrestler's contract when they're hurt? And now he's stuck for more time, even though he's not being used on TV.
Yeah. I mean, if you're hurt, you're hurt. I mean, there's nothing you can't do about it, right? You as a wrestler has to obey by the contract, like the owner has to obey by the contract, and you can't really, you can't really use him. You can't really be active if he's hurt.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, those are those. That's one of the main reasons why, like, back then years ago when CM Punk dropped the pipe bomb, right? Man, we're like, one of his frustrations is health. You know, now I think he's in a better place. Now I'm happy to see him back in WWE, but also they're utilizing him as he should. And I don't think AEW has the experience to do that.
Yeah, I mean, what they should have done was grab what's his face. Oh my, trying to think of the previous owner of TNA, Scott D'Amore. They should have picked up Scott D'Amore in AEW, and I guarantee you, if they would have had him as Booker, they would have been better off.
Yeah, whoever's managing TNA now, well, I I,
Anthem,
I I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not, but I saw and we're like, eventually WWE is going to emerge TNA,
they, they
which
are
is
they're
which I think it's freaking amazing, right? I think it's freaking amazing because TNA has built a catalog now after so much years of struggle, but it has a good brand now. And I think instead of closing it down, it can have that mismatch between um, TNA and NXT, and you're always recycling talent.
right,
I don't know if that makes sense. It's very important. Like you can't have like what hurt WWE the most is that it had no competition,
right.
right?
Yeah.
And what hurt TNA at first and what hurt AEW eventually is that stop mentioning them. Stop mentioning them. Stop trying to be like them. Continue focus building your brand how you like it, how you want it, how you see fit. Because I think when it first began, it was unique. It was very unique. It was very different. It's built off indies, major indie influence, which is great, talented. But you mentioned WWE, and then you go on this rating war, and if you learn anything throughout the WWE versus WCW is that, yeah, they started off winning, but then slowly decaying.
But you know who kept that company afloat, right?
Who?
Cody.
Yeah,
Cody. When he left, it went downhill because there wasn't anybody there to lead the charge. I mean, you had Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. I mean, they could do so much.
yeah, but they're
But
not leaders.
Cody was the glue to that company.
Yeah, they're not leaders. They have experience. Is the difference between when you're marking, like when you know how to market yourself. You know how to go do the business yourself. You know how to be who you are. But it's different now when you're trying to do it for other people. When you're trying to build a business, put a business together, market, structurize the card, right? The wrestling card. Who's good in the first, who's the second. How to structure that. It's difficult to do all that. And I think the goal is because at that time WWE had such bad taste in people's mouths because of talent, whatever. But it's difficult. It's difficult that
Yeah.
at that point in WWE, you're not to defend them, had so much talent. What are you going to do?
Right, right. I mean, what can you do?
Hmm. So, I mean, it's sad seeing how it is slowly decaying. I would like to see other companies like over here, we got Chikara, which is great. We got is it CCW? Have you ever heard of that?
Oh yeah, CCW. Yeah.
Bro, it's fucking awesome. I back then when in my single days, I used to go all the way to Delaware and watch the death matches, man. Fucking sick. Fucking sick.
I gotta check it out online.
Yeah, they used to go they go to Philadelphia. Voorhees, Philadelphia, I think it is, or New Jersey, somewhere where the Flyers, the Philadelphia Flyers, the hockey team, used to practice. That's where they did their shows. And then in the summer, there was some place in Delaware where the owner has this property, man. Dude, it would go crazy.
I can
Like we
imagine.
we will bring tables, like people could bring their own stuff. We fucking one time we brought like one of those TLC TVs with a DVD inside. Yo, they just smashed it on this guy's head. Insane.
Oh no. I can imagine. It's like a GC. It's like GCW almost if you think about it.
Yeah. I think Dean Ambrose at one point was at CCW. Rich Swan, you know Rich Swan, he was there. Um, this guy, I saw a picture with you with him. What's his name? He says he's the draw.
It's raw. Oh, MJF,
No, no, he was on TNA. He was on
AJ
the,
Francis,
who?
AJ Francis.
Nah, AJ Francis. The Killer Cross. Damn, what's his name? He was on. He was first on, and he was in CCW. Then he went to. He got signed by NXT. He was there with his gimmick like a hack or something. Crow. It was his name, I think.
Oh, Baron Corbin, Solomon Crow.
Yes, he's from CCW. Like, man, he was fat. Like he was big when he first started. And to see him now in present time, which when TNA he was a draw, and he had that incident where he hit one of the Wolves' eye out or some shit like that.
Yeah, yeah. They fumbled him horribly. WWE. They misused him, and he even admitted it. He's like, I wish they could have given me the world title. They
Yeah,
should have given him the world title, and they never did. They never pulled the trigger.
yeah. I mean, but it's hard, like his character coming from that raw background, like WWE, like because you gotta remember, like W at that point was PG, and they're building up NXT, and there's money. So you gotta like take consideration like the guidelines and whatnot. And like look at Dean Ambrose. They couldn't use Dean Ambrose. He's somebody who's from CCW, and it was difficult to use him because he's fucking cringe. He's crazy. Like he'll do anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing about AEW that I don't like too is all the blood. They have too much blood every day, every single show,
Yeah, man.
every single show. There's blood.
Yeah, and that's something that you like. It's a build up for that too. You don't just bleed, right? It's a storyline, and like even with a big move, like you gotta sell that. Like that has to be part of the story to make it drastic. That's why I think I loved Lucha Underground because it's like a telenovela in a sense.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got all these amazing characters. Uh, Damn, that was a good time in wrestling for that.
it was, and I'm kind of disappointed that show folded because I actually wanted to go see it in person,
Yeah,
but it never happened. But I did get to meet. Of course, you saw I met Penta. I also met Brian Cage, his wife Melissa, which they're both sweethearts. You know, they're
nice.
really nice people. Um, Obviously Ricochet, Colt Cabana. I met him. Sammy Callahan. Uh, I also my buddy during River City Wrestling Con. He recorded a promo with Bill the Butcher and I.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, doing
on
a
it's on
butcher,
his
bro.
it's on his page. He was like he saw me on the scooter because he's now in a wheelchair because he had to have his leg amputated because of
Doing a butcher.
diabetes. Yeah, he has complications of diabetes. So when I
Yeah.
was older, and so I got to meet him, and I talked about how I saw him when I was a kid wrestling Carlos Colon in Puerto Rico
Yes. Yes.
in the WWC when I was a kid.
Dude, let's talk about that real quick. Like,
Yeah,
I
and
love Spanish wrestling, man.
and then I told them I remember seeing him, and they had this bloodbath of a match. They were both bleeding and just you know going crazy. And then you had also El Bronco. I think he had like 7 different masks
El
over there
Bronco
too in
número
Puerto
uno.
Rico.
The
Yeah, him. Yeah, him. You had
the
what's his face?
invading,
Yeah, him too. Yeah, there's a couple and you bring them up. I remember them now. It's like
invading
uh
número uno, two,
Judas
three.
Messias.
Rey Gonzalez.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you have the
The
Colon.
Colon. Yep.
Yeah, Primo and Epico.
Sure, I remember the storyline, bro. I remember the storyline and how Carlito started, right? Like, um, it was a storyline with Rey Gonzalez, and where he hurt Carlitos Colon's leg, and he had to go for surgery. And I remember watching Carlito running. Like the storyline was he was like a cameraman, and he ran into the ring to help his dad, and he got his ass whooped. And then he started training to wrestle Rey Gonzalez. Then, like when Carlitos Colon's leg was healed, he flew to Florida to get Arturo the Butcher so he could help him out and shit. Like it was, oh man, I missed that.
Yeah, those were the days. That was a pure classic wrestling, and I'm glad Carlos Colon got a spot in the Hall of Fame.
About damn time. And it was crazy. A lot of them, like Shane the Glamour Boy, like he started with WCW. Then he went to IWA with Savio Vega. Um, Dude, you have no idea how much I missed that wrestling. So much. That was my childhood back in the day.
Yeah. I mean that was those were the times, and then we went to the Attitude Era, and now we're here,
Mm-hmm.
modern day wrestling, which isn't really the same anymore. It's all flippy and all entertainment, and we
Yeah,
miss that gritty style type of
yeah.
wrestling.
I think slowly on the Triple H regime, slowly it's turning into that. It's becoming better quality matches.
Mhm.
I think the 3 hour mark on Raw and USA was good because that's expansion. But like the storylines, man. That's one thing about me, storyline. Even the women division has slowly become stale.
I agree. I mean, we need more. Honestly, more matches, and like they said, that like we mentioned earlier, the cross promotion between TNA and WWE is going to give them a chance to diversify the talent,
Yeah,
make new and exciting matches with different wrestlers versus the same one in the same on the same roster.
yeah. What's next for the podcast? What are you planning on? Any surprise guest?
Well, right now I'm working on getting this former UFC fighter, and this I'm going to announce this on your podcast for the first time.
Official, let's
Mariano,
do it.
yeah, Mariano Mendoza. He's a former UFC fighter, a fighter for Bellator, uh, movie actor. So eventually he's going to be on my show. And he just messaged me yesterday. He's like, give me some dates and times for me to be on your show. And now we're trying to coordinate for him to see when he be on.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that, man. Progress. Wrestling, man. Wrestling is good. Wrestling is good, man. I love wrestling, bro. The only thing is like as you get older, you like I don't have nobody to talk to about it
Yeah,
with.
people look at you funny because you like wrestling. You know.
Man, I don't give a. I don't give a. Man, I like when I first named my son Austin. I like like I grew up in Puerto Rico, right? So like my family knew why. Cause like it's 360, baby. Open a can of whoop ass. Who's getting it? Uh, but man, wrestling molded me almost to be the person I am. Being in Puerto Rico, um, and over there, like there's this small gringo kid, right? Everybody
Right.
spoke Spanish. Not everybody was welcoming. Everybody was trying to bully me, man. And wrestling taught me how to defend myself. Told me not to take any nonsense from anybody.
Oh, that's true.
Open a can of whoop ass. I was getting in trouble here and there, but nobody disrespected me, big or small.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a wrestling fan as a kid, and I've always enjoyed all the games, and I have literally all the games from every single era. And I just hope to be able to expand this to the point where I can turn it into you know a full time career where I just do podcasting and motivational speaking.
Dude. And you can, and you can. Like for me, it's been challenging, but because I don't have a niche. I wanna talk whoever's doing something. Mostly entrepreneurs because they're doing something. But like, I want to talk to anybody, everybody. I want to hear the story. I want to help share their story. Like
Right.
you. Like a lot of people. Like when a lot of people start a podcast for like wrestling, they just focus on wrestling, like the drama. But like you're doing different. You're trying to beyond the gear. Like you said in like the title, you're trying to get to know these people. And a lot of them like have so much passion, so much drive. Get to know the person, right?
Right.
Uh, and what I love, like I said, like I love it is like it's not just the big stars, but the people upcoming, like the opportunity to open doors and who's next. Like that's all you, baby. Like you can do that to the max. Nobody's doing that.
And the reason why I'm doing it is because I had a good friend of mine who is actually in the professional wrestling business. He's a commentator for DCCW. He's also a manager, and what most people don't know, he has cerebral palsy like I do. They
Okay.
call him, he calls it they call him Palsy Heyman, Palsy Levesque. Yeah, my good old friend Sticks. He actually encouraged me to also start the podcast, and he's also the one who got me the interview with Matt Riddle.
Nice. That's what's up.
And he would tell me, David, don't focus on the big names. Start small
Yeah.
because those small connections can build into big ones. And especially because you're genuine and you're kind-hearted, so they're not gonna say no because you actually have a personality and you actually care.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I get mentioned a lot during the podcast is that, man, you have an amazing personality. Like you don't seem like a pushover. You don't try to dig for information. You keep it a flowing conversation and you make it fun, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and that's what it's all about. You know, like not everything is CNN or Fox News and where you got to have these questions. No, you want to be able to talk about life with somebody who's doing something you love. Get to know the person, like if people would just want to have a chat with John Cena, right?
Right.
They would probably get more information on why he does so many uh what is it the what is the
Make
charities,
a
right? Make a Wish
make a
Foundation, and just in a chat, right? Just not pushing questions or, you know, just having a conversation with a human being who's making the kind gesture.
Yeah, yeah, and then myself, I don't just really focus on wrestling, but I've also have a second podcast called the David Figueroa Palsy and Fitness Podcast, where I not only chronicled my story, my life story about living with cerebral palsy, but I've interviewed people that are authors, professional athletes, um, anybody from all walks of life with all kinds of disabilities. Give them a platform where they're not judged, based on what they have,
Yeah,
where it's a welcoming space. You can be on, you can talk about anything you feel your mind to. You don't have to worry about somebody saying, "Oh, this guy's got a certain disability, so why are they on there?" Like, no, I want you on here. I want you to be able to share your story,
yeah,
and that's the game for the second podcast that I have. Is it's not just me, but I want to include everybody. You know,
yeah. I hear that, man. That's the most important part. Like even with the wrestling one, like you can really talk to anybody about anything as long as they come on and love wrestling. That's what connects you one another together.
yeah. And then by interviewing people in the wrestling business, it's a whole new niche for me that I'm focusing on. And I noticed that I'm making a lot more traction here. So now I'm focusing on this one. And then every once in a while, I'll go back to my other one, and focus on that. Or I'll do podcast appearances like I'm doing here tonight,
Hmm.
which I'm really fortunate and honored to be on this show. And, I've always been involved in fitness myself. So, I used to be a three-sport athlete, baseball, football, and cycling. Three-time state cycling champion, gold medalist.
Nice.
Shout out to Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
I almost got you beat, but close, close. Didn't break my neck, but I did something. But yeah, like you said, the key thing to all of this, especially wrestling, is that we're bringing everybody together. You know,
I meant to that, man. I meant to that, and it's an honor to have you, man. I think whatever you do is gonna be great. You know, wrestling is because it's something more niche, and yet you have so much passion for it. It's probably gonna do more. You know, get more scaled because you have your heart in the right place. You know, just never settle for less, never settle for less, and do what makes you happy. And if this is what makes you happy, keep doing it. You know, I think like there's always like wrestling is not a dying industry for me. Like there's always going to be a new, charismatic, talented, you know, wrestler out there.
yeah.
And I keep saying it, like you're not focused on who the big is. You're focused on the future. You know, and
The,
that's the most important part.
the future and giving those that even if they have like a few hundred people, it doesn't matter to me if I see that you have an interesting story to tell. If I hear something and I think, you know what, I think we should highlight this, and bring it out there. Like, I don't know if you know this, but Josh Breezy, he's autistic.
Yeah.
He's an autistic wrestler.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Will Osprey,
Will Osprey,
autistic,
yes. Wow.
autistic, and look at him, on the main stage at AEW.
Yeah. He could be bigger. He could be on WWE the big leagues, but he chose
he
a
could
nice
be bigger. Yeah.
schedule.
He could be bigger. He
Nah,
could be bigger. I can agree with you on that. But the fact that they're wrestling and they have these disabilities, it doesn't hold them back.
yeah, I'm meant to that. I'm meant to that.
Yeah.
I'm meant to
Yeah.
that, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's wrestling is an amazing world. I'll say this: it's not like I feel like wrestling right now, like in this time, it's more self aware than back in the day. That back in the day you had douchebags. Like everybody was just a douchebags, you know? Like wrestle, drink beer, get girls. That was the motto. But
Yeah.
I think at this time it's like it's most self aware and like you could tell people really love it. It's an art, you know?
Yeah, you can
Like
definitely tell. Everybody enjoys it. You're
yeah.
right.
Like I remember the first time I went to an ROH match. Like that was like, dude, my first ROH match. It was Bebe
Adam Cole.
versus huh?
Adam
Adam
Cole.
Cole versus what's his name, bro? He's one of the Red Dragons, not Fisher, the other one,
Kyle O'Reilly.
Kyle O'Reilly, bro. And they tore the fucking house down. Okay, Kyle O'Reilly, I think, need the shit out of Michael Cole, right? And like he had no teeth by the end of the match.
Oh yeah, they going aggressive there.
Hmm. And it's like I love it because it's like a MMA, like for me it was like the first beginning of like MMA wrestling type of thing,
Right.
which they did it very well. I'm not sure it's because they know each other, but they comp like you put those two people to wrestle, they work very very well together. That's why like when I saw them in the Undisputed Era, like I didn't doubt they were going to be a great team.
Yeah, and they turned out to be great. And the funny thing is, they kind of reunited in AEW for a short time, and then Fish, I guess he was quietly released and he never came back, and so that left Cole and O'Reilly, and then they formed the
Well,
the
no, Edric,
Undisputed Kingdom.
yeah, which is ass. Just
That
gonna
was just
throw in, yeah.
horrible.
Um, and this guy Eric Strong is his name, who does the fucking
Roger,
crazy, yeah,
Roger,
does the crazy ass suplexes. Um, yeah, man. I wish they would have stayed. I wish they would have stayed in NXT, and I wish they would have gone up to the big leagues as the Undisputed Era and have those same storylines, but now on a bigger stage. Because I think that would have catapulted the career for each one, whether it was individual or tag team. Sky that would be like the Shield level type of team and Hall of
yeah,
Famers.
I agree. I agree. And you know, I don't know if you know this, but also Matt Taven. Fun
Matt Taven.
fact: he's Puerto Rican.
Yes. And what's his other Cross? Colgan Cross?
Hmm.
That's him?
No. Matt Taven's a different wrestler.
All right. And okay, so like this
He was with the
Colin
he's with the he was with the
Undisputed?
Kingdom with
Undisputed.
Michael Bennett. With Mike
Got it.
Bennett.
Well, Bobby Lashley's Dominican. Um, Bobby Lashley's Dominican. Uh, Colin Cross. I don't know his name. He's in WWE. He has a beautiful blonde wife.
Wait, beautiful blonde wife. Wait, who are we talking about?
Colin Cross.
Carrion Cross.
Yeah, he's Puerto Rican.
Yeah, he is.
There's a lot of like Hispanic talent there that like I enjoy because they don't push him like it's like just because you're Hispanic we're gonna push you Hispanic.
Right.
There's a lot of them that are Hispanic that we don't know, which either way, man, like Damian Priest. IWA Puerto Rico. So proud of that. World heavyweight champion.
Yep, and I don't know if you know this, but Lashley actually has an autoimmune disorder. He has alopecia,
Really?
which is why you don't you've never seen any hair on him, like in his head or his eyebrows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Damn.
think he's mentioned it before. Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's crazy. That is crazy. No wonder. um. So who's your next guest? Who you're working on? When is the next episode releasing?
Well, I'm having Jay Wells this Friday on the 31st. A lot of the wrestlers I've been getting recently
Mhm.
are coming from Kraken Pro Wrestling up in Georgia.
Nice.
They're, they're hearing a lot about the podcast, and they're wanting to come on. So I'm like, hey, if you're open and you're available,
Dude, yes.
come
That
on on and
new talent
promote
needs a
yourself.
place to be found. You know.
Yeah, promote yourself and I'm always all about sharing contacts. So I'm like, if I got somebody that I know that's looking for new guests, I always try to pass along the contacts and let them know, hey, they're looking for somebody to interview and give them an opportunity, and that's what I do. And like Josh and I was talking about, dream matches. He's like, would you wrestle the Hardys? He's like, yeah, I'd wrestle the Hardys if I have a chance, because he was trained by Cody Rhodes
Really?
at school at the
Wow.
Nightmare Factory. He was one of the first to come out of the graduating class.
Good for him. Got it. Got it, man. That's what's up.
So we were talking about that, like, and then we mentioned Kenny Omega. Like, he's like, Kenny Omega is the best wrestler alive now. However, people can have their opinions. You know, I think he's the best wrestler, but as far as promo skills, I don't really see it. I don't really see it. I think he could do better. You know.
Yeah. I mean, and also, I don't think like Kenny Omega's the first time he's been on TV is like American TV is AEW, right?
Hmm.
Right? There's a lot of like you could do great in Japan, but it's different than Americans, viewership. Like Young Bucks, great too, but can they do in America? How would they do in America? You know,
Yeah.
um, and with that is a lot of spots too. Spots, quick spots. Like in WWE, you're gonna get a training course because everybody gets it. Like I remember an interview with Finn Balor, and the way he was like when he first got to NXT, and they were breaking things down. There's things that he never knew to how to represent himself one in his entrance.
Yeah.
Right, and there's this another clip, and where like Triple H is walking with the Bloodline, one of the twos, the one who says yeah, 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 and the other dude. Um,
Tamatanga and Tangaloa. Yeah,
yeah,
those
like
two.
he's walking them, and he's like, "Here's your present. Like, this is what you got to do. Like, practice this. Like, you're not gonna get that elsewhere because these are people that like been doing this, you know." And now I like it because it's like a balance between business and wrestling. You can't be a boss or somebody with money and say, "Yeah, I'm gonna start a wrestling business," and it's different from being a fan. It's totally
Uh,
different from being a fan.
it is. I mean, there's such a thing as you being a fan
Hmm.
and obviously enjoying the product. But when you're a fan and you're knowledgeable, it makes a whole lot of a difference. Like like Triple H, for example. Of course, he came up in the wrestling business, and not to take away from his accomplishments, but the thing that really got him up was when he aligned himself with Stephanie
Yeah.
and the McMahons. Because let's be honest, if he wasn't near the McMahons,
Hmm.
I don't think he'd be nearly as successful as he is today.
I agree. But here's my point with that, right? Because a lot of people can argue with that shit, right? You got to ask yourself this: did he do justice or did he not? Because you can't tell me, that's the game, that's chess. That's the love of the game. You align yourself where you can outshine the most, right? Did he feel at that, or did he fall in his? Did he feel at that? Did he fall in his place, or did he accomplish what he set out to do?
Oh, he accomplished it. He did way more than that. He went above and beyond the wrestling business. He didn't just become a successful wrestler, but he actually took the time to actually learn the craft outside of it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
how to handle business,
Mm-hmm.
how to manage a company. Like if you notice why WWE is doing so well right now is because he understands the point of view of a wrestler.
And what people don't know is that you can say he lined up whatever with Stephanie, but if you look at interviews like the one on Netflix, like people don't understand he was in part of the clique. And in that crucial moment when like Shawn Michaels was on top, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, X Pac,
Wow.
they're all were with Miss McMahon. They all can say talk shit about Miss McMahon, but the reason they left is because they have no money. Vince
Yeah,
was playing,
WCW offered them that big fat check.
yeah,
That's
and
why they
Vince
left.
said go ahead. Even with Hulk Hogan, the reason he left is because he couldn't afford it no more. So what Vince had to do, build. But people still don't understand that the one who never drank, who was clear minded, who was being the parent to all these people, guess who it was?
Being the parent of people. Are we talking about WCW or WWE? Vince
WWE.
or
I'm sorry. Like, okay, I know I'm
yeah,
saying I'm rambling at this point.
I'm trying to process that question. Is this
Yeah. All right. So check this out. All right.
all
So
right?
as much people want to argue about Triple H, right, that he aligned himself
Yeah,
with Stephanie, it was never about Stephanie or Triple H. It was all about Vince McMahon.
right,
Okay.
right.
If you look at the documentary on Netflix, even Shane McMahon
Oh,
says it. Like he said, he never wanted his daughter to be with any wrestler, but if he had to pick and choose, it'll have to be Triple H, right? Second of
yeah.
all, when in before the Attitude Era and Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, X Pac, when everyone was on top, that they considered themselves as the clique, the person who was always picking after themselves, who's acting like an parent basically to get their shit together, was Triple H.
Yeah,
And then that's
he never drank, never partied. He always drove.
exactly right.
He did
So
everything.
at that time, Mix McMahon, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, X Pac, all of them were cool. That's why when they did that match of farewell, Triple H got punished. He was supposed to win the Royal Rumble, but he didn't because that farewell match. I think it was a cage match, something like that. But
Yeah, they broke kayfabe in the middle of the ring, and that
yeah,
got Vince fuming.
yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that it was never a thing of Triple H appointing to Stephanie McMahon. It's how Vince McMahon saw him and started slowly putting that pawn to become a king.
Yeah, yeah. And, right now, I mean, I gotta be honest with you, but Triple H is kicking ass.
Yeah,
He's kicking ass.
yeah. That's my question. Like, did he do a disservice? Because a lot of people would try to do would try to say, "Oh, you just align yourself with the boss's daughter," but would not succeed.
Yeah, like like I said, he surpassed expectations. You know, he didn't just become a wrestler or one dimensional, but he branched out into different mediums of the wrestling business. You know, went into not just a wrestler, but training the future wrestlers,
Yep.
quote unquote, tough enough. He also became a champion, and now he's behind the scenes as the creative individual, and he also runs the PLEs. which I gotta be honest with you. Between the pay-per-views and the PLEs, I'd rather watch a PLE than a pay-per-view because those things are red hot. And don't sit here and say they're not, because if you've seen the one in Puerto Rico, the one in France, the one in Germany, they've all gone nuts. The crowd is like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's different when you have people watching it, always watching it, than people who get a first chance or been waiting it to go to France or waiting to go to Puerto Rico. You feel me? Like, it wasn't like, I give shout out to Bad Bunny, because if it wasn't for Bad Bunny, that pay per view
That place
wouldn't.
blew off the roof.
Yeah, and not to mention how many Puerto Rican wrestlers they brought out.
And I was happy for Selena. I was
Yeah.
really happy for her.
I'm not happy how she's being portrayed. She won Queen of the Ring, and like, they're not really doing much with her. She's a
Yeah,
massive
she's going
talent.
SmackDown.
Yeah, I'm not happy. They still gotta put on. I need her to become women's heavyweight champion, intercontinental USA. I need her to have a Hall of Fame career. She
I'm
deserves
sure.
it.
I'm sure they'll put the belt on her if they do go back to Puerto Rico. They have to.
We'll
They
see.
have to just have somebody represent. Because look at Damon Priest. I mean, they put the belt on him, but honestly, this is my opinion. They did him dirty. They did him dirty,
Hmm.
like horribly. He should have kept the belt for longer. But the
I
only
mean,
reason they had the belt was
yeah,
because of Puerto Rico.
yeah. I mean, he's a world champion. I mean, he wasn't long, but he had a nice run. Um, but now the belts don't last longer as they did before.
Yeah,
Right, the run doesn't last, like, the run will run like 3 months. 'Cause there's always scaling.
yeah, they're no, but not as bad as AEW. AEW is a new champ weekly. They got title matches to. They give title matches to people that debut on their company. That debut in their company. Like, why? Like, Mercedes Monet. She has no business holding on to two. And I'm sorry for raining on your show. I don't mean to
No, it's
go
okay.
all
Bring it.
negative, but I swear to God, like, why do you have? Of course, she was a women's champion in WWE, tag team champion, but why do you put two belts on somebody who just debuted to your company? Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have female talent. I mean, they do, but once again, they're not being utilized. I think what Sasha, aka Sasha Bank, did was she wants to build a wrestling legacy, going around the world, winning titles, and that's amazing. But yet again, bookers don't know how to book. Not everyone can book a good women's match, you know, and not everyone can manage a women's division. It's hard. They're prolonger of injuries than a regular man, and not just that. That has nothing to do with it. Just they don't know how to book them.
Yeah, they really don't, and they lost some really good talent, like in Jade Cargill. She I mean, I'm not gonna say she was a phenomenal wrestler. I mean, she got
Mhm.
potential. She she got potential. I mean, but in AEW, nobody really taught her how to wrestle.
Yeah.
She
So
was
that's why
literally
you don't. Yeah, that's why you don't see her on TV in WWE,
she
because
was
she's
literally
training.
the female Goldberg of AEW.
Yeah. Reminds me of Jazz. Is it Jazz? Yeah.
Jazz, yeah, Jazz.
And this is why you don't see her TV, because, like, that's what they do. They build you up. This big figure. Same thing what happened with Paul White, the Big Show. And WCW, he was great. Thought he was the man. He came to WWE, realized he wasn't the man. Like, it's not just being a larger than, like, even Andre the Giant was big, but he had to work. Everything is a work. You gotta work. You gotta work to sell. You gotta work to overcome the crowd. Like, it's not just doing stunts. You gotta know what you're doing. And
Right.
throughout time, like I said, like, time, like, history always repeats itself, and like, you'll know if you're good or not. Like, if you have experience. You know when you need to learn. Like
Exactly.
MJF. Like, a beast on a mic, a beast on the mic, a beast on the mic. The fact that he's not even a Plan B main eventer. That when he came back from his vacation, they're not really doing much with him.
I do have to say, I do have something about him that I do not like is the fact that he, of course, is a good talker and all, but he goes way too far with the segments, like way too far. And I'm sitting here like, dude, did you have to really mention that? Like
But
for
that's
like,
yeah,
you
that's
know,
the thing. Like in wrestling, you know, there's they have a thing called like if you speak too much, you're gonna hang yourself. Like that's what happens when you don't have somebody knowing how to produce TV.
yeah. And then with him, I feel like he takes the gimmick a little too he takes the gimmick a little way like too seriously to
Hmm.
the point where you see him outside of the ring too. And I've seen videos of him like at cons and stuff, and he's like he doesn't really, I don't think he knows how to turn it off.
Or he could be a gimmick, you know, kayfabe. Remember,
Yeah, or he like embraces the gimmick, which is great. I
hmm
mean, obviously, you know,
kayfabe. Um, but yeah,
trying
I
to keep
think
it alive.
he's doing. I think he's a great on the mic, but we'll see if he goes to. Let's see if he ever goes to WWE.
Yeah, because
That's
the thing that I'm saying is, if he goes to WWE, they won't let him say half the stuff he's saying now on the mic.
yeah.
I guarantee you that they're gonna
You,
they're gonna say no, you can't
you
say
have to
this.
be CM Punk. If not, you're nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Like remember, at the end of the day, you can love wrestling all you want, but it's still a business. That's what a lot of people don't understand. That you have to sell merch. You got to connect with the audience. It's not just doing a couple of cute moves like people think. You have to not just make a impact in front of the camera, but also in the back of the camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like this is a great era for CM Punk because Vince is not there, right? Things have changed drastically since his last been there. They're using him wisely. They're not just fucking, putting match, making him the head of everything because he has a face. Everything's a build up, and he could literally say whatever the fuck he wants because that's who he is. They
Yeah.
know that comes with the package, in wrestling or out wrestling. You feel me?
Yeah.
He already proved himself.
True. True. I mean, you know, but we'll see. I mean, it was funny because he was dragging on about the war of 2024 this, the war of 2024 that. Dude, you re-signed with AEW. Like, what was the whole point of that?
Nobody wanted him then.
Yeah, like he's like, well, I'm gonna make a boatload of money because Mr. Vince McMahon is gonna be wanting me, and you guys don't care about me, and uh, of course, like you said, he's brilliant on the mic. Obviously, he's got the skills on the mic, but he rarely wrestles. He can be a wrestler. He can
Mm.
wrestle, but you don't really see him wrestle.
I mean,
He's
did he
really
say that to get a big contract? Like, you never know. It's all about the money.
yeah. I mean, that was his way of swaying both companies. But like I said, half the stuff he's saying there at AEW, they wouldn't even let him
Hmm.
near the mic because of all the sponsorship WWE has.
Yeah. I mean, but we'll see. Hopefully, a lot of those talents, when the time comes for them, because it's all about time for them, they could jump to the ship. And I want everyone to have a good career.
Like the
Hall
like
of
the last
Famer.
promo he did, I don't know if you watched with Jeff Jarrett.
Hmm.
No, you don't watch
Oh,
AEW.
no.
So I'm
I
gonna I'm
saw,
gonna.
but I saw a clip on,
So he,
on
he said
Facebook.
he told Jarrett, your little wife Karen, that MILF of yours, I hope she comes here, and I'm gonna ship her back so you know what it's like to taste a gold medalist and my balls. And I'm like, dude, like, what?
He's just saying stuff to get canceled at this point.
Yeah, like, that's what I'm
He
saying.
said,
Like, that's what I'm saying. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, he
yeah,
goes too
I
far.
saw, he said something about a clip on Facebook, about like, let's talk about Owen's wife. Like,
Mhm.
she didn't want him to go to W Hall of Fame, but you fucking wanted to come here. Some shit like that. I thought it was super fucked up, but it was funny though.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like he goes, like if he was in WWE, they wouldn't let him say any of that
Yeah,
stuff.
but you do what you can. You know, brother, it's been an honest talking to you.
Oh yeah, yeah. We've gone a little bit past the 45-minute mark.
Hey, it's been a pleasure. We gotta do this again. My door's always welcome.
Yes.
Uh,
Let me know.
yeah, man, we gotta do this again. Chop it up. Before we go, please tell the people where they can find you at.
Yeah, well, you can find me on Facebook. You have my page, Beyond the Wrestling Gear Podcast. My other podcast, David Figueroa Palsy and Fitness Podcast. You can also add me on Instagram under David CP Fitness 65, and also on Instagram at Beyond the Wrestling Gear Podcast, and on Twitter at David CP Fitness.
Boom. Where can they find the podcast? Where can they listen? YouTube, Spotify.
On the podcast, you can listen to it on Spotify and on YouTube.
Boom. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you go check him out. Make sure you go follow him. Go check out the podcast on Spotify. Go check out the podcast. Like and subscribe his YouTube channel as well. And go support him. Go say what's up, man. He's a super cool guy, as you know. And make sure to follow me on Instagram, Mr.Inspire10. Go like and subscribe our YouTube channel, DIOTALK TV. Follow us on Facebook, Joe Mark King Diaz. I'm out, guys. Have a good night.